So what I want to dive in today is we were just really wanted to hit the offer topic and cover that pretty thoroughly. So we're going to talk about crafting and building offers from scratch, as well as the things regarding tweaking, optimizing, and making offers more effective. We'll talk about the different types of offers, low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket, ascension models, and then I think we're going to put a lot of our focus and a majority of our focus today on that core high ticket offer that most service providers are looking to create or have created, and for some reason just haven't sold or haven't sold consistently or what have you. So my name is Ray. I'm co-owner of PDOCS and Sales Lab and Audience Lab. And one of my specialties is what I've done is an offer creation specialist for hundreds and hundreds of private clients. So I can show you, I think it's right here. Yeah. So this Google Drive folder is all different offers that I've crafted for private clients. You'll see a different name, A, B, C, D, right? I keep scrolling down and there's hundreds and hundreds in here. And we'll pick one or two of these to go over as examples, one or two of these that I've crafted for people. But let's just start off with going right into the three main aspects of offers and what you want to think about for what you're crafting. So again, we're going to shift our focus a little bit later, more toward that core high ticket offer. But you got to think there's, generally speaking, at minimum, three kinds of tiers of offers. You have your low ticket or your front end, right? Usually, $97 or under. You have your mid ticket, which is anywhere from, $2 to $1,400, right? And then I consider high ticket more like $3K and up, but it depends how you want to price it. But you get the kind of gist there. And the way those are usually crafted and created is kind of for the three different avatars, right? You're going to have, and that's what we call the TMS avatar, what you can see here on my screen. You're going to have people, this first person, and this would be more your probably high ticket back end agency style or done for you offer. And those are people that are going to have money. They have a sophistication or understanding of the market and the product and the offer and the industry and the return on investment, but they just don't have enough time, right? They're totally mobbed and they want it done for them. So that's why companies and businesses create a done for you offer. Another thing I've realized in running multiple companies and multiple offers, dozens of offers, is as a service provider or an agency or whatever you're doing, the more, criteria that you can do for the client and the more that's in your hands and your control that can lead to their success, the better lifetime value and retention and the better overall client journey. What I found is the more you leave it on clients to do themselves, the less it gets done or gets done properly. And that's just, the way it is, right? Then you have the done with you offers, which is probably what we're going to talk about more today. That's generally speaking what your core, mid or high ticket offer would be. The done for you, some offers, it wouldn't totally exist or you would build out later. But it's good to know. And some people start right away with a done for you offer. And that's more agency style, right? But the done with you offer, you got to think the client probably has a little bit of money that he can spend. He has time to put into it, but he just doesn't have the knowledge, the sophistication, the understanding of how to get fit, how to get more leads, how to, get confident, how to get his relationship back, right? Whatever it is, that transformation or that that expertise that you provide, they don't have that understanding and any sophistication. So you want to do it with them. And then there's more the do it yourself where money is the biggest obstacle. They have time, they have a little understanding, or they're willing to put in the time to learn, but they just don't have the money. So you create a do it yourself, which is what courses are great for. Here, you want the curriculum and you want to do it yourself? Great. And that's great too, to have that option. And usually that's going to be, and what I mean by, so this, I guess this would be a little different because I was talking about like even under a $97 offer, that would be more your self liquidating. So your low ticket would actually be more like $197 to, $497, mid ticket 500 to 2,500, and then, high ticket 2,500, 3K and up. Something along those lines, right? And that's just basic. I know I have clients that are charging 50K and up for their services. But it's always good to understand that first and foremost. And today, again, we're going to focus more on this more of the done with you, because that's what usually works best for coaches, service providers, experts, teachers, trainers, that kind of stuff, right? So I just kind of went through this, but again, the example here is money and sophistication level, but no time, done for you, 12-week program to have the whole system built out for you, right? That's what we would kind of hone in on. And we want to, it's very simple to understand that kind of end message and end goal, and then you build all your content and your your funnel out and your other content to cold audience, as opposed to turning them into warm as to hot. You build it into lead into that whole emphasis in the red there. Money plus time, but no sophistication. They're done with you. We teach you how to build out the whole system, and then build out the first part of the system by yourself and see the results, right? Do it for yourself. So that's a good little example. So let's dive more into what we're going to talk about with the high ticket offers and that core offer. So in here is my offers. Really quickly, I want to go back and show you kind of my offer builder masterclass folder that I have. And if anybody wants access to all these documents, this is really what we're going to go through. So there's a few documents on here: the offer building worksheet, offer creation framework, and the offer pillar template, that all lead into creating that offer at the end, right? So we'll run through each of these. I guess we'll go through the offer building worksheet first, which I have up. And this is a cool, good little worksheet that anybody should do when they're crafting an offer. All you really have to do is answer number 1 through 6 here, and then jot down these 4 things. Everything else on here is super, super helpful and effective. But right off the bat, to craft the offer, or the information I need to help somebody build an offer, is these 6 questions. So simply, what is the big problem? So what's the problem I solve? The example on this page is advertisers on Facebook. 7 million advertisers on Facebook, and the only way to win auctions is by spending more on ads or by spending more on higher production value, right? Who suffers from this? Agency owners or agency and marketing time to spend on less ads. So agencies and marketing times to spend on less on ads. What solution do I offer? We train virtual assistants who systematically identify, test, and validate the biggest pains of the customer. So this was built out actually on one of our first PDOCS offers, right? But I can keep this basic, and that's what I don't want people to do. The thing people tend to do here is to overcomplicate this. So what I don't want people to do is overcomplicate this. What's the big problem I solve? I help clients lower their CPA by running more effective ads using top tier data, right? Boom. I actually went through the solution a little bit. I shouldn't even went that long, right? What is the big problem? People's CPA has increased by 30% in the last few months. Who suffers from this? Large brands and anybody selling a high ticket service. What solution do I offer? Plugging in first party in market, high intent data to directly leverage the placements of Facebook, but use our own targeting. Right, boom. What's the sophistication level of my audience? This would be a mid to high in my particular audience, but it's always good to understand the sophistication level of your audience. Certainty you can deliver the solution. I always have to ask this to feel good, and I always have to make sure that the client I'm working with is sure they can deliver the solution. And then speed guarantee. I wouldn't even like the word guarantee. The speed guarantee is like, we can do this within 12 weeks, right? We can do this within 8 weeks, 6 weeks. How long is your program? How long is your offer? How long is that for? And then what I want to think of is, what are the 4 big obstacles that your prospect will need to overcome to achieve the result? And people usually overcomplicate this as well. This usually comes down to a lot of the things that we mentioned on the last sheet. It comes down to time, comes down to money, comes down to resources, comes down to bandwidth, comes down to knowledge and sophistication level, right? My client just doesn't know what they don't know. My client doesn't know that, whatever. It usually comes back to those, but think about that in your market, but it usually comes down to a lot of those things. I could talk to a weight loss coach and their clients just don't have enough knowledge. They think it's all about cardio when it's more about diet, and vice versa, right? It's just, so there's market misconceptions. So what are the 4 big obstacles that your prospect will need to overcome to achieve that result? Because odds are they don't know it very well either. That's why they haven't done it. So this is good to understand. So filling that out first is essential. And then I plug that into kind of my offer pillar template. So I put the name of the business owner or the company, what we're calling this particular offer. Does it have a name? Is it just, men's mentorship, whatever? I'm going to build out the price based on the supply and demand that I know from crafting all of these offers and by doing constant market research. We're going to dive into the avatar, which I use 3 main qualifications. I've seen all kinds of crazy avatar trainings telling you to tell me your prospect's favorite TV show and his favorite food and all this stuff that's totally irrelevant. It's really define the who, right? I'm looking for brands and agencies spending money on advertising, right? Then what are some prerequisites for your ideal client? 1, they had to be in business at least 2 years. Team team of at least 10 plus, spending at least 5K per month on paid marketing, right? And then you build out the prerequisites for your ideal client. And then the third thing is always think about what have they already tried or what might they try instead of utilizing your solution, right? So they might have tried to do it themselves. They might have paid another lead gen agency. They might have paid a, pay per booked call, done for you funnel, right? They might have, tried Amazon FBA before coming in. Like, what have they tried or what might they try instead of your solution? And once you know those three things, that's going to build into all your copy and your messaging and your targeting moving forward. So it's not to say always we won't work with people outside of that ideal audience, but that again is our ideal audience, right? That's our target avatar. If we work with certain people outside that we can still help, great. But generally speaking, these are the companies or the person or the who I want to be talking to. This next aspect is really helpful, more so for the business owner and understanding the messaging. So if you can dial this in, it's really effective. What I will say is I've never really used it and like sent it to a client. It was more of an internal exercise. So take that for what it's worth. And then I go build out the pillars and the subcomponents within there. Generally speaking, most core offers that I've built out anywhere from say $2,000 to $10,000 in price. That's probably the core offers I work with. And whatever example I bring up, I can almost guarantee is going to fall within that price point. There's a couple exceptions here and there, but anywhere in that price range, I've seen between 3 and 4 pillars work best. And the main reason behind that is just the pure human psychology was like, now, once you start to get beyond 4 things, and this is the biggest problem I see entry-level entrepreneurs make, is they want to have all kinds of stuff and deliverables in their program, and they want to work with everybody and solve everybody's problem. A, it's just not realistic. B, it's not going to work. And C, once you start to offer really more than 4 key areas of expertise, now you're starting to be seen as more of a generalist in 5, 6, or 7 areas, rather than an expert in that 3 or 4 things that are really going to drive results. Generally speaking, it's going to be 1 or 2 aspects of your program that's going to work for each particular client to really drive the business, but all 4 of them will complement each other and come together. Now, some offers I've seen work with less than 3 pillars, very simple, usually B2B and very analytical offers. But generally speaking, what the average public thinks of if they're spending, especially if you're B2C, and they're spending, say, $2,000 to $10,000 on your offers. If they have less than 3 pillars, they're like, oh, I'm paying $5,000. I'm only getting really 2 things. Like, again, it's just kind of a human psyche thing that just brings up sales resistance. So why even play into that? So 3 or 4 pillars generally works best. And within there, I will knock out probably 3 subcomponents within each pillar. And then also I tell people in the future, your pillars and your subcomponents, those are all great things to make core front end offers, to write your copy, your posts. Like, if you always are posting things that are directly related to your offer, it's a smooth transitional conversation, but they're all great topics if they're in your offer, generally speaking. So let's go on to the offer creation framework. So kind of what I just went through, if I'm working with a client and going to help him build out his offer, number 1, pre-call, I'm going to bring up the offer pillar template. I'm going to make my own copy. I'm going to add the client's name where it says in template, and I'm going to show you the done for you example in a minute. We're going to dive into, I go into this before, like, hey, what did you do? Or what were you doing before coming into the program? Is this a new offer and you're just crafting this, or were you already working with clients? Do you have clients? I need to know a little about that. Now, what's your main goal with this offer? What are you looking to accomplish? I'm looking to accomplish an offer where I can get 4 clients a month on autopilot that pay me $4,000 each, and then I'm at my revenue goals. Cool. Now I go over the offer building worksheet with them, right? Those 6 and then the 4 things below there. I go to the pillars template and I start to build out their type, the client name, type the offer, pricing, duration of program. And I brainstorm this with them back and forth. I can't do that here on this training, but I give them my recommendations on what I see work best. The duration is usually going to be on them. Like, I need to know how long it takes them to deliver a result. People are like, should I make it longer or shorter? No, you shouldn't alter due to the market. You should, whatever in the shortest period of time gets the result. A lot of people think, well, why would people pay me for a result that I can get in 7 days and pay me the same amount if I get it in 90 days? Like, wouldn't it be better value if they had to work? It's like, no, if I asked you if you could lose 5 pounds in 7 days or 90 days, when would you rather lose it? Right? So people don't necessarily care. They want the end result. So if you can get it faster, you don't have to elongate your program to make it look like they're working with you longer. You build out back-end programs, or you're charging for the transformation. Sometimes that does. In a lot of our offers, it will take 90 days, right? Then you're going to map out the avatar, as I went through, who they can or who you should be serving, any key attributes or traits of that person, any prerequisites to work with, what have they tried previously, everything I talked about. Then we'll craft into the pillars. And the way I do that is when I talk to a client, I just have them explain to me, hey, tell me your program right now. I'm the perfect ideal client. I just gave you my credit card. We're onboarding for the first call. And what's the program look like, and how do I get the results within the 8 weeks to 12 weeks, whatever we decided, right? And then he walks me through the program. And generally speaking, I just simplify that down to a few terms, and then I pitch it back to them at the end, to the point where it's pretty mind-boggling. I can just sell this offer to them that I just crafted in front of their eyes that they had no idea about the hour before, and I could pitch it back to them for 2,500, where they would have had a hard time telling me no. Right. And that gives them a lot of confidence. Like, oh man, if you could just do that in an hour and put this together, and I could barely say no, like I could definitely pull this off. Right. You got to be speaking to the right people. But then we fill in the core pillars and the subcomponents, everything we talked about, pitch the offer back, summarize the assessment phase of the call, and how I kind of pitch that. So yeah, all this stuff is really, really relevant. But let's go back in and let's go back to the offers, and let's go bring up an example of one after it's completed and we see like the avatar built out. And let's go down to, when did I do this one? Is it dated? I don't know if I dated them. So this is a past client and student DIM. The offer was a men's motivational mentor. His program was $2K for 10 weeks. And then after the first 3 clients, so this was a beta, a new offer, and we usually get proof of concept at a certain price point. And then we bump it up to the actual market value, or what we really think it's worth that we should be charging after we get some results and we get some proof of concept. So after 3 clients doesn't necessarily mean when you enroll 3 clients. It can if you have that much confidence. If it's a new offer, I'd say after, you can enroll as many clients at that 2,000 price point. After like 3 clients actually come through the program and you've seen it work is when I really feel good about raising the price. But regardless, that's kind of, you started at a proof of concept and then you move it up to the actual market value. Now his avatar was corporate men in their late 20s or 30s, well presented, generally working in sales, management, or an executive capacity, 6-figure plus earners. They value wealth and interest in investments. In the past, they've tried psychologists or getting fit in order to increase confidence. So when we mapped out his offer, when he explained it all to me, I was like, cool. So you're telling me at first you just really do a deep dive into where they're at. We find out the root causes for where they're currently at, what their internal values are and where they need to be, and we identify their limiting beliefs, right? Then you go through what's called a timeline therapy session, where it's really made up of 3 aspects. Number 1 is a guided meditation to really get you in touch with your actual goals and your self-image. So we can then dive in from there. We do a deep dive assessment afterwards, and then we build out what's called our resolution phase. So of course, guys, as I'm doing this isn't all as fresh in my memory, and this isn't an offer I usually pitch, but I'm sure you can see now when he was explaining it, this was, all long sentences or paragraphs when he was explaining each one of these. And then I just kind of break it down. I'm like, cool. So then you get into the outer achievement aspect of the program. And then we get into the accountability and the team calls and the check-ins and the tracking, right? So everything you need basically to be successful. So that's one example. I'd rather pull up one that probably is more, digital marketing like, I guess I'll say. I don't even know. There's just so many in here. What was his? I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay, so branding and content agency, right? That's definitely a little more like digital marketing. This offer was $1,750 a month with a 3-month minimum. So what's that come out to? About $5,500 or something off the top of my head, $5,250. So the avatar here was coaches, service providers, and experts already making $15K plus per month, already posting and creating content. They have validated their product or service, so they're getting good results for their clients. Likely tried branding on their own or paid ads, taking a course, worked with another agency in the past, or tried to outsource the process to a cheap alternative, right? What do? We start with an onboarding where we have them fill out a dialed-in questionnaire so we understand all their business needs and what have been their frustrations. Then they get a one-on-one kickoff call with our onboarding rep, and they carry on, and we really build out their strategy for how this is going to look over the next, 3 months of us working together and what results we can expect to see. It's really good to set expectations early on when you're working with a client. That way they can give us good feedback when we get to the end. Did we actually achieve what we talked about in our kickoff call? We want to be held accountable. And then we build out your initial personal branding platform within our own, we build out your own portal within our platform. So obviously I've already shown you the platform and you understand what that looks like here on this call. So now we're going to get you into that platform. And then we're going to build out your own profile. That's where we're going to batch all your content. That's where we're going to edit. That's where we're going to upload. That's where we're going to build out strategy. And that's where we're really going to keep the organization. So that kind of dives right into pillar 2, when we're going to build out your content and assets and assess exactly what the objective is, right? We need to audit or assess what we currently have for assets and how we're creating content. We're going to build out a simple little Google Drive ecosystem where everybody will have shared access. It can get right uploaded, which is built into an integration into the portal. And then we're going to build out all the strategy and structure within the platform, right? And then step 3 is where we really get into the, actual facilitation of the content. So we're going to build out short form, we're going to build out video and long quality, and we're going to build lifestyle content. So not only talk about your business, but we're also going to build out a personal brand, as we talked about, which was very important for you. And then we get into the final implementation phase, where now we start with collaborations. We start on execution of every strategy, and this is where we reassess. We start to judge our engagement. We'll be seeing lots of it by now and seeing how it's paid off. And then we really want to examine the results and what we've delivered to you as a client. So if we could do all that for you in the next 30 days, does that sound different? In the next 3 months in little 30-day increments. Does that sound a little different than that previous agency you said you worked with, Mr. Client? Cool. So is it safe to say that if you had this injected in your business, you could be where you wanted to be in the next 90 days and jump from 15K a month closer to 25K a month based on more social media content and brand awareness? Oh, I fully agree. So then what's stopping us from moving forward, right? And that's kind of how we'll just present it toward the end. We can get into the temp check and all the sales tactics, but that's kind of everything that goes into the offer. Go back and think of, what am I building out? And if we're focusing on our kind of core high ticket offer within the solar industry, sorry, I'm looking down at there within the solar industry. If we're looking at our core high ticket offer within the service industry base, right? Coach, expert, mentor, leader, trainer, whatever. And we want to build out an offer. This is kind of the core framework that has worked time and time again and built out, again, as you saw, I scrolled through there, hundreds and hundreds of offers for people that have gone on to sell in the market, and they're easy to kind of lay out. The simpler you can keep this, the better for kind of, if you're just going to share this on a call and go through this and kind of do what I just did, highlight them, talk about them. It's like you have listed the features and then I'm highlighting and speaking a sentence or two on the benefit. And as I'm going through this, what's happening in their head, there's little kind of checkbox is getting dinged off, right? Ding, ding, ding. Like, oh, cool. They do this too. Oh, they take care of that. Oh, cool. So they have everything within one portal. Oh, then everything is like kind of checking a box in their heads. Like, cool. This is exactly what we need. And then we get them to say it when we reposition it. Cool, Mr. Business Owner. Is it safe to say that if you had this in your business, you could be at your goals? And again, getting that to come out of his mouth rather than me telling him, hey, you need this in your business to get to 25K is night and day. So that's very much a good strategy and a good, framework for how to do this. If you guys want the resource, down in the description below, I will have the link to that whole kind of offer building masterclass folder where you can have access to all of those frameworks and documents that I just covered here on this video. Great.